Ready to roll. You guys haven't been talking about me this whole time?
A little bit.
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You make me. You like them Tommy guns.
Sometimes, yeah.
All about that gotcha journalism, so.
I watched a lot of Vice, man. They kind of send me on really good. Yeah, Vice makes pretty cool shows. They do some crazy journalism. It was more of a joke than anything. But yeah, they do a lot of segments in Russia, and there's a lot of AKs stuff going on.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You don't know Vice Media? You never heard of that, Marty?
You have to watch. There's an episode. There's actually two, and they're not allowed in North Korea anymore. But there's two episodes where they go into North Korea and they troll them the entire time about how weird their country is, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
I was on Vice, man. You should check that one out at least.
What station's it on?
I have no idea. They just came to my office and interviewed me. I haven't even seen it.
You're busting my chops about it. You did
No,
an
I
interview
know-
with them.
I
You
know
don't
what
even know who
this
they're
is.
affiliated with.
I know it's on HBO.
Oh, it's on HBO. Okay, I got HBO.
Yeah.
I'll check it.
But yeah, they do some really rad, like Ted was saying, some crazy stuff. Like they went down to, I saw one episode where they went down to Mexican drug cartels. Like, I mean, in the middle of it, where at any moment you're gonna get skinned alive, you know, and the cartels were just showing them basically their operation and everything. It's crazy.
Nice. Sounds
Yeah.
dangerous too.
What?
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Can you hear
It's
me
like-
okay? Am I coming through all right?
Yeah, it's just breaking up a little
Do I
bit.
need to get closer to my microphone?
No,
Wouldn't
Ted probably does. He's a soft-spoken man. He's got soft hands too.
I sure do, buddy. I moisturize a lot.
It's not a bad thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm starting to like you even more.
Yeah. So a little backstory. Ted and I, unless you want to record this.
I'm already recording.
Oh boy.
So. Always be recording. That's the number one rule.
Moist.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Ted and I met because I was scrolling through or digging through Facebook Market, and he had a bike for sale on there, which I still have to this day. It's cursed motorcycle. However, it brought me and Ted together, and he's pretty much one of my best friends now. He might be my only friend, except for you. But yeah, so I ended up buying that bike off of him, and we just stayed in touch, and we've been friends ever since. That was how long ago? 4 years ago?
Almost 5 years ago now, because I just had a memory pop up on my Facebook today about it.
That's
It
wild.
makes me feel bad because it doesn't feel like that long at all.
I know.
Are you going to show us your face?
I
Don't be scared.
mean,
Come on. You're among friends here.
I should probably throw a clean shirt on, man. I'm covered in ink right now.
That's perfect.
Here, let me.
Ink without a shirt, so difference does it make?
As long as you got a shirt on.
Dude. I got some videos to send you after this chat. I was taking some footage of this run we did. We did 550 shirts in about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Dang.
So, yeah, man, starting to rip through them, and they came out great. We didn't have one problem for once. It's pretty neat.
You do screen printing? You do shirts? Make shirts?
Yep. Swan City Print Company.
Okay. We'll give them a
Here we
plug
go.
on here.
I think this will be clean enough. You can dip on the show too, right? If you're on camera.
Absolutely. You can dip. You can
All right.
drink.
There he is.
All right. Cool.
Sweet.
T-bone.
So
There we go.
this is going to be kind of a fly by the seat of our pants show, but it's going to be kind of centered around motorcycles. And then, of course, we want to talk about Sturgis. Want to hear all about Sturgis, how that went. Did you go to Sturgis, Ted?
I did not. Couldn't make it. was working.
I
He had too much work to do. He almost went last second, but couldn't do it.
Yeah.
See,
yeah, and then the year before that, I didn't make that one either.
you could have stayed at the lead quarters with Chad on his way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun house, dude. We're going to have to go visit him.
Next year, we're definitely planning it to go. I want to ride. I want to see if I can ride the whole way.
He's got a rad pool, and he throws pool parties all the time. I heard they're off the hook.
So Matt's not going to join us. He's going to sit in the wings as usual.
He's working.
Waiting in the wings.
Okay.
Sweet. All right, y'all ready to start? Ready to do this?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Tampa Bay hat on. Let's go.
All right, lead heads. We are back with another episode of Chad.
The Talking Lead podcast.
There you go. Don't be so enthused about it.
You put me on the spot. I got nervous.
Caught you off guard. Yeah, it's been a while since you've been on. Was it January? I think it was the last time we had you on.
I think so.
Yeah. So that voice, ladies and gentlemen, Chad Enos with Kel-Tec Weapons, the official sponsors of Talking Lead, and they were going to be the official lead quarters for the 2021 NRA in Houston, Texas, but as most of you know by now, that's been canceled. 2 years in a row. Axed. Due to reasons. Reasons we probably all know. But Chad has brought along a friend, a buddy, that's going to be joining us to discuss our topic, which I'll tell you what that is going to be after Chad introduces his buddy.
Hey, everybody. This is Mr. Ted Blank. If you are familiar with Chippendales between years 97 to 2003, you've probably seen him perform.
That's me.
Super good guy.
Did you perform with Billy Ray Cyrus when he was a Chippendale?
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes. No, but Ted's been a really, really good friend of mine for about 5 years now. And I just wanted to have him on the podcast today because he's a good friend of mine and he's funny. He's a really solid guy. And we're going to be talking about some things that he's somewhat of an expert on today. So
there you go. And you've become more of an expert. Ted, welcome in.
Thanks, guys.
So you own a company. Talk about your company that you run down there in Florida.
Yeah, me and my partner we run a screen printing company called SwanCityPrintCompany.com, and we do anything and everything prints. When it comes to T-shirts, pants, bags, posters, whatever you want, we can do it.
Doing hats too?
Yeah, we can do hats as well. We can also do embroidery, DTG, transfers. I mean, anything and everything. We can take care of you.
Very nice. What's your handles on social medias?
Ted Blank is my personal, and then it's
is that a man bun?
What's it? No, it's a long ponytail, man.
Okay,
it's gorgeous. Swan City Print Company on Instagram.
I used to have one.
And same thing on Facebook.
Okay, had to check with the boss there, huh? Make sure.
Yeah. I gotta run everything through her, or I get in trouble.
Well, that's a smart thing. That's a smart thing to do there. But guys, we're going to be talking about motorcycles today. That's our topic. Chad just recently had a trip to Sturgis, and he swung by the lead quarters on his way. You guys saw some of the posts that I did on social medias, and I've never been there, so I want to hear about Sturgis. We're going to talk about motorcycle safety, carrying while riding your motorcycle, get some tips and tricks about that. And then we're going to talk about some other things. But first, we got to thank the people that make this show possible. And the number one being Kel-Tec Weapons there in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Again, I'm bummed, super bummed. I can't over exaggerate how bummed I am that we're not going to Houston and setting up the lead quarters with you guys. Very disappointed.
I mean, I'm all broken up about it for sure.
Yeah.
But, what we could do is we could just make a trip up to see you and just hang out in the lead quarters and do whatever we were going to do at NRA.
We could do that. or I could come down there.
Even better.
Because I've not done that yet. I've not done a tour of the Kel-Tec facilities.
Let's plan that.
So that would be an awesome trip. And then
Yep.
you've got your bikes down there. Maybe you trust me enough to maybe hop on one of your hogs and drive around a little bit. Even though I'm notorious for laying them down.
I got just the bike for you, right, Ted?
Yeah, just the one.
It's been on the ground.
Perfect.
It's got more miles laying on the ground than it does upright.
That's great. That's great. But like I said, it was January when we last had you on, and the reason we haven't had you guys on since then is because we knew we were going to be doing NRA, and you guys were going to have some cool things, news to drop to the lead heads. We were going to have some cool giveaways and stuff like that, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So, like you said, we're gonna come up with Plan B.
We'll make up for it.
Yeah, we might talk a little bit about it on this episode as well. But guys, check them out, keltecweapons.com. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, and you guys have started a little blog, news blog, where you've got some cool informational posts that you do from time to time. Talk about that.
We have. So we've got a digital company called Black Tie. Is it Media, Matt? Black Tie Media? Yeah, something like that. But so we give them topics to work with, and then I give them some bullet points, and then they'll write those blogs up. Then they'll send them back to us for proofing, and then it gets they automatically post those to our website. They're pretty interesting topics, stuff that's near and dear to our heart. Obviously, gun safety, the different products out there that are accessories for our own firearms as well as other firearms, and just the whole gun community scene, if you will.
Yeah.
And we're just getting kind of started. So
is that something they can access from your website?
Yes. Yep. We also send out emails, so if you sign up for our email list, you'll get those automatically in your email.
So what I want to do,
and they're not long. They're pretty short reads, just with packed full of information, and they're kind of fun.
I want to bring up one and show our video audience. So I'm at your website right now. What tab do I go under?
Down at the bottom.
It's down at the bottom.
Okay, down at the bottom. So this is something new I've been doing since the last time you were on, Chad. I don't think you've been on since we started doing our videos.
No, you got super fancy on me.
I don't know if I got super fancy, but I've added more difficulty to my life. No doubt. So here it is, their website, keltecweapons.com. You go down to the bottom, and there's the blog right there. You click on the blog, and boom, all kinds of cool articles here. Sub 2000, Spotlight, reliable, functional, and practical. Speaking of, got mine right here.
Right on.
This is my Gen 1 with the red line precision.
Still rocking the Gen 1. I love it.
Oh, yeah. My Gen 2's back there on the wall. I don't know if you can see it or not. The one I camoed up with the skulls.
All I can see is keltecweapons.com at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I'm sharing my screen. That's right.
Yeah, I know you're new to this.
I am. I was just toting up my weapon.
being fancy is not easy.
It's not. It's hard. Technology's hard. So
It is.
So here's some added benefit to going to their website, following them on their social medias, and signing up for their email newsletters as you get these cool articles. So check them out, keltecweapons.com.
Yep. You'll find promos and stuff there as well, so there's incentive to go and look through everything for sure.
And then as you can also see, they're in their new logo up at the top left there, 30 years. You guys are celebrating 30 years this year of Kel-Tec greatness.
Yeah. And those shirts that you see, many of those shirts that you see on our website were printed by Swan City Print Co.
Oh, so we go to apparel.
You out purchased some of that apparel. Those red shirts. There's several. The Stack logo, the green ones that were just below that. There's a bunch of them. They do super high quality work, and we love it.
Very
Good stuff.
nice.
Swan City Print Co. Yo.
You doing the G.I. Joe? Do you do that one too?
Yep.
Yes.
You did that.
Yeah. G.I. Joe, that's my my hero. That's
Yeah, it's
a
a
real
pretty cool
American
guy.
hero. I grew up with G.I. Joe, man. I know I've got a. Well, I'm not sharing my screen right now, but I've got a shadow box behind me that's dedicated to some of the figures there. Geek, go ahead. I'm a geek.
Well, Ted's a geek too. He likes the dark side of things.
The dark side of things.
Mhm.
Also, making this show possible is our buddies over at Mission First Tactical. Check them out, missionfirsttactical.com. And I don't talk a lot about their holsters, but they do have holsters there too. So if you've got a specific firearm that you want to get a holster for, check with them. I think they do most of the major style handguns, so check them out. And then, of course, their accessories with their AR-15 handguards, their magazines that I was talking about that they do. Here's some of their magazines, and they can do custom logos on there. And we were going to be having some of these at NRA with Kel-Tec's new 30-year logo and Talking Lead logo. We still may do something and give those out to some of you lead heads. But they're...
Yeah, it's just going to make SHOT Show that much better if SHOT Show happens.
if it happened. I mean, just us being there makes it better, you know?
That's a fact.
But, you know, that's the thing. You talk about that, and you guys were going to do it rain or snow. You guys were going to show up. You were going to be there. A lot of these companies, which is what forced NRA to shut it down, these huge companies backed out. You know, they pulled out just kind of protecting their asses, I guess, so they don't get sued in case something happened to one of their employees. I don't know what their reasonings are, political, whatever it may be. But Browning, Smith & Wesson, FN, Ruger, HK, Fiocchi, Kimber, you know, some of the real big companies there that they really rely on, pulled out. And, you know, I guess that was probably the deciding factor in what made them really decide. Have you guys heard anything different? I'm sure you're probably...
that's what happened. There just wasn't, you know, nobody was going, so I have it. So,
yeah.
Mostly international companies, and it's just domino effect from there.
It was mainly, the corporate companies, the stockholder that had stockholders and whatnot, you know, the big publicly traded companies that were really, I guess, just scared of getting sued by their employees if they got sick. So anyway, we're not doing it. It's not happening. But you can still go and support our sponsors, our companies. Let them know how much you appreciate them making this show possible each and every week. And companies like Seal One also for all your gun cleaning and corrosive protection needs. Seal One has got you covered. I've got to do some cleaning on a couple other guns that I took out this past weekend. I've got a can that I've been trying out, new can from Atlas Defense. Got another one that's in jail still that I'm waiting to get out, and I can't wait to talk about it. Chad was showing us something earlier. I don't know if he can still show it or not. But.
It's a Griffin Armament M4 SDK can.
Nice.
This one's for 5.56. This thing's amazing. I actually just got it back because, I don't even know how many rounds are through it. Probably 8,000 rounds, and I broke the. It wasn't
the collar.
Griffin's fault. I broke this. Well, I didn't latch the latching mechanism on all the way, and I let somebody shoot it, and they got like 10 rounds into it, and it blew off, and I lost the clip. But so I sent it to them. This is how great of a company they are. I sent it to him just to replace that part, and instead of only replacing that part, they completely cleaned the whole can and they refinished the whole thing for me.
Oh, nice.
So,
like
it was and back to me pretty quick. So it was pretty nice of them to do that.
And that looks really good on the RDB too.
It looks. I told them too. I sent them some pictures. I'm like, this thing was made for the RDB series guns.
Yeah, and it's kind of got y'all's pattern on it.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. The Gator
grip.
pattern.
Yeah. That's when I first saw it. I was like, no way, you guys are doing cans now?
Well, we are on the sub 2000 CQB. We that's our design.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. And I want to see that gun porn too. So later, if you've got one to hold up, let's talk about that. And we'll talk about the P50 too. But first, Chad, you know what I hear?
Uh-oh.
I hear
Is
that.
Is that Gunny?
I hear the Gunny coming in with the jackwagon train. So Gunny, bring that train in. We got to take care of some jackwagons, and we're going to honor some heroes too.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
Yeah. All right. So the train has stationed, and we've got some jackwagons to take care of. And I'll start with my guest first. Chad, you got any jackwagons? Ted?
I'll let Chad go first.
Gonna let him test the waters, huh?
I'll go first. So my jackwagon is me.
Is you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So last time I was on the show, you had asked me about my bike accident.
Yeah, yeah. You had a pretty bad incident. Not your fault.
No, I broke 4 ribs and had a pretty substantial brain bleed. And I was actually, we joked around about the bike earlier, but I was on the bike that Ted built that I bought from him. And I got T-boned and went down really hard. And I didn't know where I was. I was conscious and moving around and I stood up. I got the bike off the road and all that stuff. And I told this story last time I was on, but I left out like the very most important detail, and I just want to correct this. What I told you last time was after I got hit, I immediately stood up and took my helmet off, and I rolled the bike off the road, and I pulled my phone out to call my dad. Well, I didn't even call my dad, and I was unaware of this until recently. I called my then beautiful girlfriend, her name's Shannon, and told her I'd just been in a bike accident, and I could still hear her voice. You know, she was frantic and crying, and I was trying to explain to her where I was, and she actually called my dad because it was about 2 miles from my dad's house where I went down. So
right.
I just wanted to correct that. Like, she was the first person that I called, and when I told that story last time, it really kind of hurt her feelings a little bit because I left her out of that, and I knew I had talked to her, but I didn't know that I was, that I called her and not my dad. I didn't know that until she told me about it. So I just want to correct that.
Well, and that's understandable. I mean, January we did the show. When did you have the accident?
I'm not even sure when it was.
Yeah, I mean, I could even tell during that show that you were out of it. You weren't the same Chad, and but that's good of you to come. Because I'm sure your memories, once they told you that, your memories started coming back, and you're like, oh yeah, damn.
Well, I knew I had talked to her at some point because I remember her voice. I remember her crying, and I remember how frantic she was and how worried she was about me and stuff. In fact, when I got in that accident, it was partially my fault. I mean, yes, somebody made an illegal left-hand turn and T-boned me, but I went around a truck because I was super impatient, trying to get to her house because she was making me dinner, and and that's what happened. Someone turned and T-boned me. So I was on my way to her house to eat dinner, and I don't know why I told the story that way. I actually did think I called my dad, but I knew I had talked to her, and I think at the time when I was telling the story, I just kind of wanted to leave my personal life sort of out of it. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with her. She thought that I was just embarrassed of her, or I don't know.
That's understandable.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. And I understand how her feelings got hurt about that. So I just want to get on here,
clear the air,
and clear the air and correct that, and just let you know that I called my loving and beautiful girlfriend first and told her I had gone down, and I wanted her to know, because I didn't want her to worry about me so much, and I was gonna be late for dinner. Obviously,
Well, I was gonna say,
so.
man, I would be impatient too if I was on my way to eat. I'm sure she's a great cook too. What was she cooking? Do you remember?
Phenomenal cook. I don't think I ever found out if she told me. I don't remember because she took care of me for months.
It must have been something you really liked. It was probably your favorite dish, and that's why you're in such a big hurry to get there.
Everything she makes is my favorite.
Everything she makes is your favorite.
I'm not kidding. Like she's a good cook. But
well, I do all the cooking around here, so.
Yeah. Well,
I'm the only one to cook for.
Exactly. But, yeah, so I just wanted to clear the air on that.
Well, that's a big man of you to do that, and
not
Shannon,
really.
if you're listening, don't go hard on my boy. He didn't mean it. He had a brain injury, and he loves you.
Yeah, but she, Ted knows this too. She took care of me. Like, I mean, I don't know what I would have done without her, to be honest with you. So yeah. Anyway.
So deserving jackwagon, Chad, and then since then, do you want to talk about the other accident you were in?
Sure. Wait, you're in another accident?
Same bike.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This is the bike from hell, man.
You have to forgive Ted. He's got some brain injuries too.
We all do. I've had several brain injuries myself.
So 11:30 in the morning, I think it was. I forget what the police report said, but I was sitting on a 3-lane road with a turn lane, both left and right. Not a single car on the road anywhere. This is on US 1 in Rockledge, near where I live. And somehow a drunk girl with no driver's license, no insurance, and it wasn't even her car, found the needle in the haystack and rear-ended me at 40 miles an hour.
Oh, my God.
I know I shouldn't be laughing, but it's hilarious.
Just his bad luck is...
Golly.
I went underneath the car. You don't have any idea what happens, when it happens to you. It's just a flash. Everything goes black, and then you wake up and you're like, what just happened? And I woke up, I stood up, and there's a car, pretty much over my bike. And I'm like, what just happened? And I was feeling my head. I forgot I had a helmet on, so I went to reach up for my head and realized, oh crap, I have my helmet on. And when I reached in the back of it, it was cracked. Like it looked like somebody hit it with a ball peen hammer or something, just smashed it.
Dang.
And surprisingly, I just had a puncture wound in the back of the knee, couple little scrapes and bruises, and that's it. It's a miracle, that's literally, that I'm alive, much less have almost no injuries from that accident. But that was back in February.
Did you ever see the European Vacation with Chevy Chase?
Oh yeah.
He hits that guy on his bicycle, and it's like the bicycle's all mangled, and he's got like blood coming off of his legs and everything, and he just hops up.
Problem? Yeah.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Oh, you're Americans. No problem. We're all good. Did you just jump up and?
Well, sort of, but I don't know how long I was out, because I think I was out because I sort of woke up laying on my back. I don't think I was out. I think I was just stunned and kind of shocked or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I stood up, I saw the car, and I could hear the girls. The windows were down in the car, and they were yelling, "We got to get out of here! We got to get out of here!" So they were trying to run from the scene. And that one. What's that?
I said they're jack wagons.
Yeah. I actually text Shannon again, first person I talked to. I texted her. I said, "Hey, I've been in another accident, but don't worry, I'm actually fine this time. It's good. The medic's here, check me out, or whatever." And then I called my dad, and he came and picked up the bike for me. Well, me and the bike, and then he took me home, and took me in the bike home. So, yeah.
Is this the bike I get to ride when I come down?
It is.
I wouldn't if I were you, man.
Oh, it's a death trap.
Here's the thing, though. It's a beautiful bike. Ted built it. It's an amazing, fast little built off of a Sportster Paco frame, but it's got all the bells and whistles in it, and it's a quick little thing.
It must be a tank to be in 2 accidents and still survive.
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep that bike forever because another company we haven't talked about. It's called the Gnarly Company. That myself and Ted and Sarah are a part of. And I actually want to keep that bike because that's what kind of brought us together. And if our company finds some major success or whatever, I just want to have that around as like a timepiece, you know?
Okay.
So
Well, let's talk about that company a little bit later in the show. Don't forget, make a note. Matt, remind us. Is he still there?
yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, those are the bike accidents, and I'm the jack wagon, and I just really wanted to clear that up for Shannon. Nobody else listening to this probably even cares, but she deserves that, and so I just wanted to do that for her.
Well, I mean, that's the show. We're all about character as well, and that shows a lot of character for you to come on and do that. So we appreciate you doing that. I'm sure Shannon will too. So what about you, Ted? You got any jack wagons?
Yeah, I got a pretty good story. Over the weekend, our friend came down from Jacksonville, and it was his birthday, so he asked if we want to go to Busch Gardens, and I said, yeah, man, sure. Like, we'll meet you over there, have a cool day, and get away from the shop for a little bit.
And Busch Gardens is
it's like an amusement park, roller coasters, and all that good stuff. But anyway, I guess at some point, I have this really old wallet. It's I think it's more of a man thing. Like, you get attached to your wallet. More so when you lose it, it's hard to pick out a new one that's going to do the trick for you, you know? But anyway, I ended up losing my wallet, and, you know, I was kind of thinking, I was like, hopefully somebody will turn it in and everything will be okay. But I also really want to ride some roller coasters and have a good day, you know?
Yeah.
Come to find out, man, like I got hit for almost $2,000 in total. Them using my cards out of my wallet. Did I tell you about this, Chad?
No. Wow.
Okay, so you can edit this part out. I'll tell you the whole thing.
Let's hear it.
So, okay, well, I got super pissed off, you know, and I was trying to call the bank, and you always get like somebody from India or something. I can't understand them. They put you on hold. I'm like, I threw my sunglasses, my brand new Costas I bought. I threw those. I'm pissed off, you know. Well, I finally got somebody on the phone, and I know exactly where they took the card. There's a little shopping plaza over in Wesley Chapel, Florida, and they have like a Calvin Klein and Express, like all the big name fashion stores. And the lady was like, about 5 minutes ago they were at Express, and 5 minutes before that they had $800 charge at Calvin Klein. Well, Sarah, I would say I'd be like, I can't say ass. I don't know if you can cuss on here. I'm the jackwagon, I guess. She ended up calming me down because on my bagger that Chad makes fun of me with, I always carry a ball peen hammer just in case. And I wanted to go over there because I was like, if you see somebody carrying all these bags, I want to go up and, hey, give my wallet back, She just wouldn't let me get on the bike at all.
Smart.
Yeah, but I wanted to go over there because usually people they think they won't get caught, but she talked me out of it, and I'm rambling on. I'm new to this, man. I don't know.
That's fine.
Anyway, somebody stole my wallet. He was the jackwagon. I'm the jackwagon for wanting to be an idiot trying to take care of it. But there's that. I don't know.
Well, man, that's completely understandable, especially when they're that close, and you're talking to your credit card company. They're like 5 minutes ago they were just right here. I would have been out the door too, man. I would have been out the door in a heartbeat. I wouldn't have thought twice about it. Tracking them down, looking for somebody with a Calvin Klein bag and whatever else they had,
Yeah. I think it would say something too if you show up and you're like, hey, you what?
I said, I'm not saying that's a smart move, but I'm just saying that's instinct, just instinct kicks in, and sometimes cooler heads don't prevail, but it's a good thing you had someone there to calm you down, bring you off the ledge.
Yeah, I'd rather be in trouble with the law than Sarah sometimes. I don't want her mad at me, So,
That's
I had to listen to her.
That's a great counterbalance to have right there, definitely. No doubt
For
about
sure.
it. So, definitely that's a great jackwagon. I've got one here from one of our lead heads. This is from Leadhead Jason Edgar. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this guy. His name is, I got too many tabs open, Sherrod Brown. He's a senator from Ohio. Or he's a says state rep. I think he's a senator. But anyway, he's obviously an anti-gunner. And there's been some forms and websites that you can go to send in to your representatives and your senators to let them know, where you stand on all these laws and crap that they're trying to pass against our Second Amendment rights and gun control. So he got a response from this Sherrod Brown, and I want to read the response here, so just bear with me for a second. It says, "Dear Mr. Edgar, thank you for getting in touch with me about firearm-related legislation. I appreciate you sharing your views," which we all know is a lie. Mass shootings in America have become far too common, including right here in Ohio and Dayton's Oregon District. I support passing common sense gun safety protection and look forward to working on passing gun safety measures during the 117th Congress. We cannot say we are doing what it takes to keep America safe till we pass reasonable laws which have broad bipartisan support among the public to keep weapons of war off our streets and guns out of the hands of terrorists and violent criminals. Wait, hold comments, because you're gonna get even more fired up. There is much we can do to advance gun safety in the United States. I supported the original assault weapons ban in 1994. I voted to renew it after the Sandy Hook tragedy, and I have again joined as a co-sponsor of the Assault Weapons Ban Act of 2021. I am also a co-sponsor of legislation to close loopholes in our background check system so that people who buy guns on the internet or at gun shows have to go through the same background checks as law-abiding gun owners who buy their guns at stores. And I supported the bipartisan Fix NICS bill, which strengthened our background check system by requiring federal agencies to better report information to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is the NICS, to ensure that firearms do not end up in the hands of people who are a threat to safety of anyone. In addition, I have supported legislation to prevent those on the terrorist watch list from buying guns. Because if you're too dangerous to get on an airplane, you're too dangerous to buy a deadly weapon. Hold on. As a co-sponsor of the Gun Violence Prevention Research Act, I support repealing laws that prevent the Center for Disease Control and Prevention from conducting research on gun violence. The CDC, our friends for the COVID bullshit that's going on. The successful repeal of this prohibition is an important step forward for gun violence research, but there is still so much more we can do to decrease gun-related deaths. I have always respected the Second Amendment rights of hunters, collectors, and other law-abiding gun owners. Banning items like assault rifles and extended magazines does not unfairly infringe upon those rights. We'll pause there. Let that sink in. The singular purpose of these types of weapons and accessories is clear. Cause the maximum amount of death and destruction as possible in the shortest period of time. When Americans are not safe in their schools, movie theaters, and houses of worship, it's clear something must be done to curb gun violence. Unfortunately, far too long, the gun lobby, led by the National Rifle Association, have prevented common sense legislation on gun violence from being considered or passed by Congress. Nevertheless, despite their determination to stand in the way of safety measures, I will continue to fight for common sense constitutional legislation that will protect our citizens from gun violence. While legislation alone will not prevent every shooting, common sense changes will save lives and reduce the risk of future mass shootings. As firearms-related legislation comes before the Senate, I will keep your thoughts in mind. Thank you again for contacting me on this important issue. Sincerely, Sherrod Brown, United States Senator. so much in that.
That guy's a dildo.
No
100%.
doubt about it. He is. But I mean, this is a canned response that all of these anti-gun Democrat liberals are sending out to their constituents in response to
Word for word.
Word for word. Guarantee it. Yeah, guarantee it's word for word. And if you go through that, and as critical thinkers, which I know all of our lead heads are, it's just that you hear the common sense, and getting the CDC involved in this, and it's just ridiculousness, and it makes you want your head explode, and but you still have to go through the motions, the steps, and you still have to continue to send these letters, especially to people like this guy. Because they are not going to. You can see that he's not going to change his stance on this. He doesn't give a damn what you think, and he's just going to continue to vote the way that he wants to. So, what are your thoughts on this? I know Ted was just bursting at the seams there. He was ready to jump in after the first sentence.
Go ahead, let him have it.
Let loose, Ted. I'm letting you off the chain, brother. Pretend this is that
I don't know,
shoplifter.
man. I don't know. I don't agree with any of that at all. Because that's the thing, like you said, they always have like this pre-written response, whether it be like if you're corresponding with them through email or even on the phone. I feel like they got not a teleprompter, but they're like, okay, he said this and this. Okay, I got to give them this response. Like, A through D, they got like four different responses. Their
key phrases, their key words. Common sense. You see that common sense legislation.
The common sense this and common sense that. I don't know what more they can do to make try to keep the hands or the guns out of the hands of criminals and stuff, because we do have gun policies in place. When you go to purchase one, that's about as thorough as you can get, man. If you don't pass it, you don't pass it. If you do, you do. Criminals are always going to get weapons no matter what.
And people's mental state are going to change too daily. People's
and what
mental
does the CDC have to do with it, man?
Well,
I don't get that at all.
Well, because they consider mental health and disease, and this is a disease. So if they get it under that, then they have more grounds to impose laws that we can't battle, that don't have to go through legislation or voting, just like the COVID, because it's considered a health risk. Now they can impose.
That's just government overreach, man. That's going way too far.
This is the tools they're using. You have to understand that this is their weapon now. They figured out how to circumvent the legality and the voting and the popular vote. Is let's just make it a health issue, and then they can automatically impose these. Like the COVID is what is it calling it? A crisis, a outbreak. What is it? Pandemic. They could. Realistically, they could say that gun violence is a pandemic.
They already are. They have.
It is a pandemic, but it's only a pandemic in the areas.
But if they get it under
the
CDC, which is what they're trying to do, and this is something that the CDC can control, then they can come in and say this is a pandemic, and we don't need to go through the normal channels to impose these laws. We can enforce it on it. We can mandate this stuff like they're doing with COVID. Like they're doing with COVID.
Let me ask you a question, Marty.
Yeah.
So, common sense gun laws. That's the number one slogan that comes up in these anti-gunners in their talking points and their scripts and whatever. Let's ask the lead heads how many federal gun laws are on the books?
Numerous.
It's over 300.
I was going to say 1,000 at least, but yeah.
Now, these are laws that the federal government wrote. Which ones of those 340 laws, or however many they are, which ones are not common sense? So those 300 and some odd laws, they don't have any common sense at all. We need new ones that have, right?
Yeah, but
we need better background checks. That goes to the FBI. What other background check do you need? CDC? Is the CDC going to become an agency now that implements laws? Are they a law enforcement agency? Are they part of the executive branch now? Are they part of the, what's the CDC? All CDC does is recognize diseases. That's it. They have no power whatsoever to legislate anything, or they have no power to oversee any sort of law enforcement role.
They do have the power to designate something as a pandemic, and under their jurisdiction.
No, they don't. They do not have any power. They can call it a pandemic. They can say it's a pandemic. They can't do anything about the pandemic. All they do is recognize.
Listen to me, though. The government listens to them, and they take their suggestions, and they say, because the CDC says this, then we are saying this. And that's why they want to get gun control under the CDC, is because then they can consider it a health pandemic, a health issue.
Yeah, of course.
Well, they're not good at taking care of anything when it comes to like public health for the CDC, because, obesity, it's a pandemic because people are fat. You know what I mean? That hasn't been solved yet. Mental illness, you can't solve that.
Drug addiction.
There's a lot of things. Yeah, they haven't been able to solve anything. So if they go ahead and they push this over to the CDC with the gun control being a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are they going to do about it? Nothing. We're going to get a bunch of new dumb laws.
This is their angle, and this is why they're doing it. This is why they want to bring the CDC into this.
I know what you're saying, but think about this. How many people die from alcoholism every year? How many people die from drunk driving every year? You can still go down to the local grocery store and buy as much beer and alcohol as you want. And the CDC, they ain't saying anything about that at all. And it's that alcoholism, that is a mental issue. People have serious mental problems, and that's why they turn to those things, drugs and alcohol or whatever. But the CDC isn't forcing the government or trying to encourage the government to mandate stuff, laws to close down bars other than COVID.
But the government uses the CDC as an excuse to do things when they...
You're exactly right.
And that's my point.
Once the firearms thing, there's no pandemic. It's not an epidemic. It's not a pandemic. It's not a demic of any kind.
It's not.
When you compare the numbers to people, like I said, just for instance, super simple, that die from alcoholism every year, or heart disease, or some some mental illness.
Well, the COVID wasn't a pandemic either. If you look at the numbers and you look at the statistics on the percentage of people that it affects and the people that it kills, it's like a 0.0 something more than the normal flu. And the flu's never been labeled a pandemic. It's just, hey, it's flu season. There's going to be people that get sick, and there's going to be people that die because we don't have a cure for the common cold.
Every year.
But for some reason, whatever the reasons are, and they're becoming more and more prevalent every day, they designated this as a pandemic. The COVID. It's control, exactly. And this is how they're going to control our firearms without us being able to do a damn thing about it, is they're going to get it under a pandemic, some sort of a pandemic. They're going to get the CDC to back them up with it, with their bullshit research and their studies, and boom, there we go. They've gone through the back door. Have you seen
what's going on down in Australia lately with all this?
Oh my gosh, Australia is ridiculous.
Yeah, man. That's if we lose our guns, that's what we're facing, and you don't want that. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. So that's a great jack wagon there from Jason Edgar, and I've got a link here, and I'll put this in my show notes too. Let me share my screen. Screen share. This came from a Gun Owners of America post that they did, National Alerts Gun Control and Bernie Sanders Budget Resolution. And this is what that guy was responding to. Jason had gone on here and filled out this it's like a pre-canned message that will automatically go out. And you guys can still go there, and it says the message body, Gun Owners of America has informed me that the House will be voting on a $3.5 trillion anti-gun budget resolution soon. The Biden administration has been using funds appropriated for COVID, relief and community violence intervention initiatives in the American Rescue Plan to fund anti-gun agenda. Recently, after meeting with the White House about the insane crime rate in New York City, Mayor-elect Eric Adams bragged about using federal aid to rebuild New York's anti-gun unit. This is not acceptable. The SCON Res 14 includes funding for more community violence intervention programs, and that's why I need you to vote no on the budget resolution before we spend our tax dollars on more federal gun control enforcement. Until the Biden administration can prove that community violence intervention funding is not misused to fund gun control and is only used for honest police work, gun owners must oppose these anti-gun slush funds. As your constituent, I am asking you to vote against the gun control contained in Senator Bernie Sanders' $3.5 trillion budget resolution. Gun owners of America will inform me how you vote. So I don't see anything wrong with us having pre-canned responses to their responses, but yet when you send stuff like this, they tend to ignore it and discard it. But you guys can go to gunownersofamerica.com. This is here, and you can still send this to your representatives, senators, or if you want to compose your own and just use that as a base, I highly recommend that you do that. But you have to inundate these politicians and let them know where you stand. Chad, you still there? Chad, you still there? Hey, Chad.
I'm listening to you.
I'm just kidding. I don't normally get on my soapbox about this stuff, but that letter from that guy just really fired me up. And you can send him, if you're in Ohio, you're a listener. I'm getting feedback from somebody.
Sorry, my headphones died. I had to charge them.
Okay. Sherrod Brown, his email address, senator_brown@brown.senate.gov for our leadhead listeners that are in Ohio. And then to get your senator, your representatives, you can go online and you can look up and see who they are. But Jason did a really good job on his response. I'm not going to read his response, but it was very detailed and well thought out. So there you go. Jack wagon material.
Big time.
So let's counter this with some heroes. And my hero is Jason Edgar and all you lead heads that take the time to contact your local representatives, your politicians, and let them know where you stand as far as gun control goes. And all these little, like you said, they sneak in gun control and all these bills that they propose. There's always something to do with anti-gun, gun control that's not even related to that, like the COVID. This funding for COVID, they snuck in some gun control there. So pay attention, be alert, and we'll get through this. All right, so let's talk about some more heroes. I've got a Leadhead-nominated hero here that we're going to talk about. And this comes from Leadhead Kenneth H. McGee.
I like that last name.
McGee.
Yeah.
Bobby McGee. We got a little Kenny McGee here. He said, I'm sure there's lots of heroes from that day. Just wanted to highlight one of them. Such a tragic event, but like always, random acts of kindness by individuals show us there is still good in the world. And what he's referring to is here in Tennessee, we had some major floods in the west part of Tennessee. And I think the last count I heard was like 18 people died. Just some really bad flooding that was going on. And luckily in our area, we didn't get that flooding. But we've had it here before. Flooded all Nashville. It wiped out Opryland at one point several years ago. But this comes from, looks like Fox. It says, Nashville helicopter pilot saves a dozen people trapped on roofs in Waverly floods. A Nashville helicopter pilot saved a dozen people trapped on roofs or at their homes during catastrophic flooding in Humphreys County over the weekend. And it all started with one phone call from a woman who was calling random helicopter companies, desperate to find someone to save the lives of her brother and his children. Joel Boyers, the owner of Hellastar Aviation, answered the call as devastating floods took a 10-mile path of destruction in the county.
Wow.
Just as I popped over the hill, I saw the whole town engulfed in water. There were 2 houses on fire, fire trucks everywhere, Boyer said. And there's a video here. You can go to Fox 17, WZTV Nashville. I'm sure you probably Google this too. There's actually somebody got a video of him coming down on these rooftops, these houses, getting as close as he can, and actually just landing on the edge of them and getting people into his helicopter. There's video posted on YouTube and Facebook shows the moment flood victims found salvation in the storm of a bright red helicopter flying to save the day. The pilot behind the helicopter is Joel. It says he got a call from the woman. She was distraught and crying, saying her brother and his 2 daughters were trapped on their roof. When he got to town, Boyer first zeroed in on 2 men sitting on a roof, navigated his chopper, different kind of chopper than what we're going to talk about today, through power lines and debris hovering close enough for them to step in. So, yeah, you guys can go read the rest of that story there. But, yeah, definitely a hero.
Nice.
And helicopters in Waverly County, I mean, that's not like a Humphreys County. That's not a big county. It's lucky she found somebody. But, yeah, this guy was awesome. He just took his helicopter and saved lives.
See, I wish I had skills like that, you know? I wish I could fly a chopper because they're good for a lot of things, especially in situations like that, man. And if you can just buzz around and save people, what an honor that would be, you know?
Yeah. This is the guy here. That's Joel. And you guys can watch the video there. But the helicopter, here's the helicopter. It's one of those old school looking helicopters, see?
It's cool, yeah. I mean, hey, that's all you need, right?
Just something that'll fly in and fly out. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, he's definitely a hero.
But you can tell this guy's skill too, the way he was, because he's landing on the roofs, but he's not putting the pressure, you know, because that wouldn't support the weight of a helicopter. These roofs wouldn't. And can I make it bigger? Here's a little bit bigger. Look, can you see that?
Yeah.
Now, see, there he landed in front of that house.
Yeah.
But there was a picture of him like landing like on the roof line of one of them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Especially if there's any crosswind. And I mean, obviously they're in some sort of a storm, so I'm sure he was fighting wind. Yeah, look at the wind.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, that's from his props, but
blades.
But yeah, you can see on the water too the ripples.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, so he's fighting wind too. So that's a talented pilot.
So there you go. Welcome to the Leadhead Brigade, Lead Force One, Joel Boyers. And if you're listening, Joel, get in touch with me, talkinglead@gmail.com, and we'll send you some cool swag. Or if any of you listeners know how to get in touch with Joel, we'll send him some Leadhead Brigade stuff.
We'll send him some cool swag too.
Okay, there you go. What about you? You got any heroes?
Heroes.
Anybody come to mind?
You know, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to anything media related lately or whatever. You know, my heroes are always the men and women in uniform, our war fighters overseas. I pretty much say it every single time you ask me, but
yeah,
they're my heroes. You know,
can't say it enough. Protecting
what's left of our freedoms anyway, and also the men and women that that are still hitting the streets and law enforcement after all the stuff they've been through the last few years. They're still out there grinding. They're still out there, making sure laws are enforced and, keeping criminals at bay, as best they can with the tools they got. And they're definitely heroes to me.
There you go. In our last episode, we had Sheepdog Impact Assistance on. We talked about their climb up Mount Kilimanjaro. They took 12 veterans. I think 4 or 5 of them were disabled veterans. And one of them he didn't have leg. He was a double leg amputee. And he climbed it on his fist.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he was only able to go so far. He didn't make it to the top, but all he had was gloves, those extra padded gloves.
Yeah.
That was it. Oh, looks like we got Ted back. Welcome back, Ted. So we did our heroes. We did some heroes. Do you have a hero? Anybody you want to recognize as doing something outstanding? Not right.
No, not off. No, skip that one. Not offhand.
Okay, good enough. No biggie. All right, so let's move on to our main topic. We're going to talk about motorcycles. Chad and Ted, you guys are the experts on this. I've got very little experience with motorcycles. I had some earlier, when I was younger. I used to own, like when I was a teenager, my very first, I guess, motorcycle would be like it was a three-wheeler. It was a Honda Big Red three-wheeler. I was probably like 12 years old or something like that. So with motorized off-road vehicles, that was probably my first experience. Had a great time, and then I kind of graduated up to what are those? The YZ80, the Yamaha YZ80s, dirt bikes. Those things are just.
That was my first bike.
Those things are hellacious. I love that thing. It would flat out get it too. There was no stopping that thing.
They're quick.
Yeah, they were fast. Turn on a dime.
Yeah, and you probably only weighed about 30 pounds when you were on it too. So
yeah, you didn't weigh much. I was probably 15 or so when I got that, and then in my 20s, my late 20s, mid-late 20s, I had a Honda Shadow. It's like a 1997 Honda Shadow 1100 Spirit.
There's guys that love building choppers and bobbers out of those things.
Yeah, I've seen some cool mod bikes out of those. Mine was just a standard. Cheap and easy to. Yeah, the one I had was just a standard model, but yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Big heavy bike. Actually, I got it from a buddy who had laid it down. He just bought it, and he pulled out of his driveway and he laid it down as he was pulling out of his driveway, and he just got scared after that. And just like, I got to get rid of this thing. I got a really good deal on it.
Nice.
That's pretty funny.
But I don't think I've ever talked motorcycles on this show before, so that's kind of why I want to talk a little bit about it. And your recent trip, Chad, to Sturgis, because that's something that I've always wanted to go to too, even though I'm not a biker these days.
You know what? You don't have to be to enjoy Sturgis. There's so much to do there. You could probably go for 5 years in a row and still not do and see everything. It's definitely a sight to see for sure. Even if you don't have a bike, obviously having a motorcycle and riding up through the Black Hills is, one of the most exhilarating things that motorcyclists can do. There's only so many places in the country that are that beautiful, but you could probably enjoy it just as well in a Jeep with the top down, so.
Yeah, but then it kind of takes away from that whole Sturgis experience because everybody else there's got the big, the bikes and.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah.
There's they said there was close to, or maybe even a little more than 1 million people there in Sturgis this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and 99% of those people are on motorcycles. So, and if that tells you anything, it's fun. I thought it was going to be super crowded, or even too crowded, but it actually turned out to be an amazing trip as far as the rides go. We got to go, and I didn't get to see everything this year. Like I said, you could go for 5 years in a row and still not, get to everything. But
yeah.
There was a couple places I wanted to get back to, so I did that. There's a waterfall there; it's very important to me. So went and did that. Stood in the waterfall, and
naked.
No. There's too many.
Require
people
clothes
around. So the water's cold. So I don't want to. Do that.
That is one of the things Sturgis is famous for. It's kind of like New Orleans Mardi Gras. A lot of tops coming off.
Actually, you'd be very either surprised or disappointed, however you look at it. It's not what you think it is. a lot of people think that it's just like an all-out insane party of just craziness. And there is a campground I've heard about. One of the campgrounds it's pretty wild. Nobody sleeps there, and there's kind of no rules, sort of thing. But that's just one small campground. All the other campgrounds, there's rules you live by, and most of the people that go are retirement age, and they're just there in their RVs. They bring their motorcycle, they ride through the mountains. It's not like some crazy nonstop party that you would think it is. Tons and tons of entertainment, bands, really good bands, national acts, tons of vendors. Obviously, the whole place is nothing but restaurants and bars. So it's fun for that, but you're not going to see a bunch of naked people running around. It's in fact, at my campground, it's almost like family affair. So that might sound boring to some people, but to me, it was great.
Well, like you said, with 1 million people, that town alone couldn't hold 1 million people, so it's got to be spread out to several other cities and towns and probably even states to hold that many people. And compared to last year, what did they say they had last? They only had like a couple 100,000 last year, maybe even less than that.
No, it was 480,000. Oh, last year, I don't know, COVID year. Yeah, it was probably small, but the year before that I went, it was 480,000.
Yeah, so more than double in less than a year on
attendance. What happened was COVID year, 2020, was supposed to be the 80th anniversary, and anniversary years always bring out 1 million or more people. And since there was COVID and not many people went, they kind of made up for it this past year, the 81st. So that's why there were so many people at Sturgis this year. But again, it wasn't too crowded. It's not dangerous whatsoever. Everyone is pretty much self-controlled and self-policed. Mm-hmm. The only thing that the police really do in Sturgis is write tickets and create revenue. That's it. But they rarely show up for fights. I mean, 2 years in a row, I've been around, 100,000 people or whatever at my, off and on at my campsite or whatever. I never saw a single fist fight, not even really an argument, not even at any of the concerts and stuff or any of the bars. So it's, it's a good, safe place to go if you want to just go and like have an awesome vacation, and experience the western, northern western part of the states. It's beautiful up there. It's all the plains, you got the wide open plains, and you got also mountains, and like I said, waterfalls, and there's mountain lakes, and there's all kinds of stuff to do there.
Well, that's the thing with motorcycles too, and you can do this. You don't have to just go to Sturgis. There's lots of places in the United States that you can experience, that type of scenery and thrill. But that's the whole experience of the motorcycle that you don't get in the moving coffins.
That's true.
The vehicles is, unless you're like in a Jeep that you can pop the top or something like that. But even then, it's still a completely different experience
sure.
On a bicycle.
It's something that doesn't really get brought up a lot. But since we are in the firearms industry, I don't think it's really any surprise to most people. But every single person you talk to there, they want to talk guns and bikes. That's it. And there's open ranges there.
They kind of go hand in hand,
Go shoot guns. A lot of people, they wear cuts, vests with patches on them, and almost every single cut you see says something about the Second Amendment, something about conservatism or whatever. So it's just, literally 1 million like-minded people, showing up in a town that's spread out over about maybe 10 miles, 10 square miles or whatever. So they're packed in there. So the people they're not staying in other states, in other cities outside of Sturgis. That's all in Sturgis at all the campgrounds. So it's pretty neat. It's a pretty cool thing to experience. Like the whole time I was there, I never heard the word COVID. I never heard the words Joe Biden. I didn't hear anything about politics. I'm completely out of the loop.
You did on the news though. If you weren't there and you had the news on, that's all they were talking about. Or sure. This Sturgis is going to be a super spreader, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe the irresponsibility of all these Bubba Trump supporters.
Well, guess what? I don't know anybody that was there that got sick. And I had probably 20 to 25 friends that were at Sturgis that go every year. I've seen them a couple of years in a row now. Like one of them is a good friend of mine who actually introduced me to the people at Vortex. He lives in Wisconsin. He goes and brings his whole band of brothers over there, and nobody got sick. No problems, no issues. So
well, that's the thing. You don't hear about crime there, like you said. You don't hear about gun violence, even though the majority of those people are packing, they are carrying.
Yep.
They are freedom. They're freedom lovers. They may not be. They might not even be Republicans or right wing. They could be left wing supporter freedom lovers.
Sure, but you've got the media and celebrities and all this other stuff, and then you have reality. And I spent 8-9 days in the reality.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know what the media was saying about any of this stuff or what was going on, and nobody cared. We don't. That's the thing about conservatives. We don't care what they say about us.
If anybody wanted true data and information, all these pollsters, these people that do the polls, that take the polls, that would have been a great place for them to go and get more than their normal, like, I polled 500 people, and
right.
Out of those, the majority was this, so that means the majority of America feels this way. Well, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah, but they don't. It's all about narrative, and we all know that by now.
Sure, and that would have been a great narrative for our side to go up there and start polling and taking the heartbeats of America.
Sure. Here's the thing about our side, though. We live in the actual reality, so we're not concerned about what their polls say. We're not concerned about what they talk about in the media. I don't care about that. It's not reality. It's entertainment.
Right. And
they're entertaining people that buy into the fear and they buy into all that stuff because it's, by nature, people are drawn to drama. Like you don't see any TV shows that are all about happiness all the time. You know what I mean? It's all drama. And so that's what they're attracted to.
Mama
this
drama.
This is just an extension of that, and it's all about controlling the narrative and controlling the way people think.
Yeah. But we have to be concerned with what they think and what they're doing, because they are impacting us as the majority. We've turned our the other cheek too long. We've let them get away with too much. Give them a little bit here, give them a little bit here. It'll shut them up, to where we've given them too much, to where it's going to be too much for us to turn around at some point.
Well, we're already there in a lot of ways, but
we are, but it's never too late. So
no,
it's time to start pushing back.
Well, it's actually never going to be too late, because eventually this turns into a revolution. We've seen that in our history many times.
We have,
and so
in other cultures too.
Yeah, nobody wants that. I mean, there are stupid people out there that are sitting there in their gear waiting for to be an infidel and go fight the government or whatever. But we're not called to do that. We're called to be peaceful, freedom-loving Americans, and if we can do it, democratically and politely, then we will. And you're absolutely right. We need to write our senators. We need to constantly support gun rights organizations and organizations that support conservatism and freedom, and support the Constitution, first of all. So yeah, I mean that's where the fight lies for us. They keep trying to pick this physical fight. They have been for the last year and a half, 2 years now, and we can't bite on that.
A lot longer than that, but yeah, definitely.
So,
but this is how you do it. You get out and you exercise your rights. You exercise your freedom. You go to Sturgis. You get on your bike. You carry your gun with you, and that's how you combat this.
Exactly. You just live like a free American that you are. Simple.
And there's nothing freer than the motorcycle, being on the motorcycle. The ultimate symbol of freedom is that two-wheel machine.
I tell you what, man, there's definitely some therapy to it. Ask Ted. Like, you're having a bad day, and you just fire your bike, go for a short ride, and or a long ride, and you can kind of get all that stuff released. It's weird. I mean, yeah. I just thought it was, I didn't really think that was a thing, and then, I started doing it. I'm like, man, if I just get on my bike and I ride over to the beach after a bad day or I'm stressed about something, by the time I get home, I'm ready for dinner. Everything's cool. It's
nice
weird.
Release, yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you, Ted? What got you involved? How did you get involved with motorcycles? And you're muted right now. Let me unmute you. Hold on. No, you got to unmute yourself.
There we are.
There you go.
Yeah, I started riding bikes, man. I think I was 4 or 5 years old. I started off on a little PW50, and I raced dirt bikes when I was younger and growing up, and then I don't know. It just started from a young age. I was in the sport bikes for a while, but I don't think they're dumb. But you get a little bit older and you just want to slow down a little bit. And I ended up building my first Harley, and I thought it was super cool, man. You know, being able to create something with your own hands that nobody else has the exact bike that you have. Yeah, hold on just a second. My bad.
Locking people out of the house.
Yeah, but being able to create something with your hands that nobody else has, it just appeals to me, and I still like doing that to this day. I just, to kind of,
and that's a whole nother aspect of bike owning is building your own bikes, and we'll talk about that too a little bit. We'll dive into that. But you said you started when you were about 4 or 5 years old on a little dirt bike, and just eventually kind of worked your way up from there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. What about you, Chad? When did you originally get into the fever for bikes?
As you know, I was born and raised here in Florida, and I'm only about 45 minutes south of Daytona. And when I was a kid, my dad used to, same thing, he used to chop up and build. He was into metric bikes, so he really loved the Kawasaki's, the KZ900s and 1000s. And so he always had engine parts, all kinds of stuff, on the kitchen table, trying to make them go faster. The whole goal was just to make stuff faster. And that's, that's a lot of, that's like a thing in motorcycling for a lot of people, most people. So you buy something, it's just like when we buy ARs, if you buy a stock AR, you put a trigger in it, you put a nice safety in it, put sights on it. So it's kind of the same thing, you build it to make it your own. Yeah, and so he did all that when I was just a kid, 6, 7 years old, 8 years old. And then I got into riding, same thing, pretty similar path, riding dirt bikes. I rode had a YZ80, had a couple different dirt bikes, ended up with some 125s when I got a little bit older and stuff. And then I got into soccer really heavy. So I started playing soccer, which is weird. Most people don't know that about me. It's kind of a weird thing.
I won't hold that against you, but I will.
Yeah. I started playing soccer and baseball, and my interest in bikes just kind of went away, and, ended up, parents probably ended up selling the bikes, and then I came back to it fairly recently, probably I'd say about 6 years ago, just before I met Ted, and it's turned into this Harley obsession and chopper obsession, and so yeah, man, I'm into it, and I'd probably
kind of like any hobby, it starts off, and the more you get into it, then it becomes more than a hobby, it becomes an obsession.
It kind of does, because there's an art, and Ted can attest to this. There's an art form to it, and like he said, you want to build your bike up. You have your inspirations, but once you finish your bike, it's your own. There's different components on it that make it your own. The stance, what type of motor it has in it, and even what kind of sissy bar, seat, and handlebars are on it. Like, you kind of want those things to be custom tailored to you, not only for necessarily comfort, but just the way it looks, make it different than everybody else's bike.
Yeah. So another thing that I want to talk about, and we'll get into talking about your custom bikes, definitely want to hear about those. Sure. Is we do talk firearms here. So when you guys are riding your bikes, and especially when you're going on long trips like Sturgis, your carriers, your concealed carriers, you've got your license. I guess they require that in Florida. In Tennessee, we just became a constitutional carry state. But I had my license before then. But as you're traveling to different states, especially on a motorcycle, you've got different things that you want to consider than if you're in a vehicle, if you're in a car or a truck, a covered vehicle. Let's talk about when you're traveling, how you carry, and some tips and tricks that our listeners can use and things they need to think about.
Sure. It's just like I consider carrying on a motorcycle the same I would consider carrying in the mall. You should definitely have it on your person and not on the bike. And I have the perfect example of why. When I went down a couple of years ago in that accident I was telling you about, I had my Glock 19 actually in a carry bag that was strapped to the sissy bar of the bike. Now, when I went down, I didn't even know where I was, and my bag could have flown off and gone anywhere, and anybody at the scene of that accident could have picked that bag up and had my Glock 19. So that's one instance. Another thing is, if you park your bike somewhere and you go inside a building and your gun's on your bike, who's to say somebody can't just snatch the bungee cord right off, or open up your saddle bag or whatever, and have your gun. And this is where criminals get guns and go shoot people. And that's when the media blames the gun issue on us, so don't be that person that keeps something in your vehicle or on your vehicle, no matter what it is, and make it vulnerable for theft. So when you carry riding, try to keep it holstered. And they make, if you've got some cooler weather, down here in Florida, it's really difficult because we can't always wear a leather. Because it gets to be 100 degrees and 80% humidity or whatever, you're not going to wear a leather jacket, no matter how short your ride is. So, but in a lot of places in the country, especially in the cooler weather days, there are jackets specifically made and vests specifically made for concealed carry. Those are options. The other option is to also just carry it, like you normally would in your holster in your pants. Just make sure you've got something that's comfortable. So there's a ton of options, but just like anywhere else, man, you always want to keep your firearm on you.
If you're legally able to carry. Correct.
Yeah. If you're traveling over state lines, that's where it gets sticky. So you have to know your laws, first of all. The last thing you want to do is get pulled over with an illegal firearm, whatever state you're in, which to me, and I know the listeners think the same thing, is utterly ridiculous. If you're in America, you should be able to carry your firearm wherever you want to go. But the laws are the laws. So,
try that in New York. Try that in Washington, D.C.
Sure.
It's
exactly.
not going to
So
fly.
you need to avoid that. However, if you are going on a long trip, and this is more of like a camping moto trip type thing, where you're not going to be without your bag, you're not going to be without your gun the whole time. Keltec, we have some options for you, and other companies do, but the KSG and the KS7 are very short, compact, high-capacity shotguns that will easily fit in a sissy bar bag on a bike, like the kind of bikes that Ted and I ride, choppers and stuff. So if you are doing some moto camping and you need that sort of protection, those are 50 state legal firearms. So it doesn't matter if you cross state lines; you're perfectly safe, perfectly
because
legal.
It's a shotgun.
Yeah, completely loaded shotgun, and especially if you're out west and you set up camp, you're going to need something protection for, possibly bears, and other dangerous animals and stuff too. So It's not just about protection against bad guys, and typically you're not going to encounter bad guys when you're out on open road and you're just stopping at campsites and stuff.
But you never know. You just never know.
Sure, you never know, and that's why we carry guns. So
absolutely,
KSG, KS7 are great for that. If it is legal in the states that you're going into, and you want something a little more firepower, the Sub 2000 is awesome because you can fold that up and you can stick it in a saddle bag. You can put it in a sissy bar bag. It's pretty easy to conceal, but just make sure that you've got the legal magazine limit for whatever state you're going in. And make sure that you're able to have a concealed long gun in your saddlebag or whatever. But yeah, so those, just a handful of options. But as far,
the RDBs are also compact.
That's true.
As compact as the the KSG or the KS7s?
That's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So for a sissy bar bag that we carry, like our tent roll and stuff, you definitely fit one of those in there as well.
Yeah.
You can do a low profile one with maybe a small red dot. And
but again, you got to know the state's laws that you're going through, and if you're going to carry it on your person,
absolutely.
And you got to look at the definition of carrying on your person, carrying versus transporting. Those are two different things also. The federal government protects you against transporting your firearms, and they've got specific rules, law. There's a law specifically that addresses and protects you when you're going through these states when transporting the firearm. And I'm trying to find it here. I've got it right here. So it says... this is Title 18, Section 926A, the Peaceable Journey Act is what it's called. Under Part 1, Chapter 44 of the Federal Code provides that notwithstanding any other provision of any law or any rule or regulation of a state or any political subdivision thereof, any person who is not otherwise prohibited by this chapter from transporting, shipping, or receiving a firearm shall be entitled to transport a firearm for any lawful purpose from any place where he may lawfully possess and carry such firearm to any other place where he may lawfully possess and carry such firearm if, during such transportation, the firearm is unloaded and neither the firearm nor any ammunition being transported is readily accessible or is directly accessible from the passenger compartment of such transporting vehicle, provided that in the case of a vehicle without a compartment separate from the driver's compartment, the firearm or ammunition shall be contained in a locked container other than the glove compartment or console. So that's the federal kind of statute law that they have in place for transporting. So, but if you have, like we were talking earlier, if you have your permit or you're lawfully legal to carry in the state that you're leaving from, you can have that on your person, but at the same time, you still have to check each state's carry law and what their requirements are. So the magazine capacity comes into consideration, the type of gun that you have comes into consideration, all those from state to state. Otherwise, if the state's got a law or provision there that you don't want to deal with, don't go through that state. Circumvent it.
Yeah.
Avoid it. Taking pictures?
Yep.
But there are different, like you said, there are different ways. So if you do carry, you could carry in the waistband, out of the waistband. I've seen rigs set up, like you said, where people have kind of like Terminator. They've got holsters on their hood areas where they can reach up and get their guns. Saddlebags, side holsters, shoulder rigs, chest rigs. There's all kinds of different ways that you could carry on your person. There's even manufacturers that make clothing specific for motorcycle riders that have compartments in the clothing itself for you to carry your firearms. And then, of course, as you were saying, bags. There are specifically designed bags, backpacks, things like that you could also invest in for your firearm if you're traveling on a motorcycle.
Yep.
Lots of different options.
Yep.
Did you have anything to add there, Ted? Do you
I carry it in my bag most of the time. Yeah, I do.
And what kind of bag do you have?
I got a Harley Davidson Street Life. I carry in my saddlebag is where I carry it because I found on the bike. I like to appendix carry when I do carry, but still to this day I haven't found a holster that when I sit on the bike it doesn't dig into my gut. I'm just not comfortable. Yeah, I'd like to get a shoulder rig, a holster setup, but I haven't got around to it yet. So.
Hadn't got around to it. Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah. I spend all my money on motorcycle parts, man.
Yeah, well, I carry appendix for the most part. And I would see where carrying an appendix on a motorcycle might be very uncomfortable, especially depending on the style bike that you have. So let's talk about you guys, as you both are into the custom bike building.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you've probably been in it longer than Chad, Ted.
A little bit, yeah.
So talk about, so I'm going to compare it to a gun. So when I build an AR, there's certain parts that I want to have and components that I want to have in the rifle that I'm building. I assume it's going to be the same way with a bike. If you're not making your own frame, you're going to want to go buy, the frame, which I would call the receiver. What do you look for when you're building your bikes? What's the key component you're looking for?
I want them as fast as humanly possible for a V-twin. That's what I like. I like speed. I like them to be nice and compact. I like everything to fit in there real nice and tight.
So you're looking at engine first. You're looking at power. You're looking at the engine. That's the first thing you're looking at, not a frame or anything like that. So you're looking at the engine, and you're going to build around the engine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for the frames, man, I kind of like to have them nice and tight around the motor, so there's not a bunch of, I guess you call it like maybe a negative space or whatever, just space that's not being used. I want it to be shoehorned in the frame. Kind of like the bike that Chad has that I built he bought years ago off me. The thing is very, very small. It's light. It's very, very tight, and it's really, really fast for what it is. It's
Now, are you making the frames yourself, or are you buying existing frames and then molding them to fit?
No, I usually go with the aftermarket frames. The bike that I'm building now, it's actually funny, me and Chad are kind of doing almost the same bike, close to the same years. We started off with mine's a 1976 FLH shovelhead frame that I'm having hardtailed and a bunch of metal molding to smooth a bunch of the stuff out on it. But it's...
So I'm a novice. I'm a novice to this. So when you say shovelhead and you say softail, and what does all that mean?
Shovelhead is a type of a motor. And specifically shovelheads, they made them from 1966 to 1984. You got different styles of motors. You got knucklehead, shovelhead, panhead, Evo, twin cam. They're all just different year models in the motor. Is all it is. But I wanted to build something extremely unreliable, and it's not going to be too fast, so I chose to build a shovelhead. And I'm going to have to, deal with that later on down the road, I guess. Yeah. Try to figure out how to get some speed out of it.
Yeah, so then you got the frame, you've got, the chassis system, the handlebars, all that. Mm-hmm. What are you looking at when you're going to that portion of the build?
I think it's all relative, man. A lot of people, that's what's cool to me about building your own bikes, man. You got to customize them. Everybody's got a different flavor. Like me personally, I like my bikes nice and tight. I like them very skinny. I want the narrowest tank I can get. I like my bars real nice and tall, but very narrow. So I try to make it where like you look as uncomfortable as you can be riding a motorcycle down the road. And if it looks uncomfortable, you look cool while you ride it. And that's what counts.
That's key, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The more uncomfortable you look, the cooler it is. I like that.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. What about you, Chad?
So, much of what I have has been inspired by the same things that Ted likes, except for baggers, because I hate those things.
What's a bagger?
It doesn't matter.
It's irrelevant?
Yeah. It's a boat anchor. So, really into choppers. I was into choppers, before I even met Ted, but since we've been friends, you kind of share ideas, and you look at the history of choppers is a really cool thing. There's a lot of history involved in all this stuff, by the way, and it goes back to the military. But fast forward, like choppers in the late '60s and early '70s are really kind of the bikes that we like. And so if you go back and look at some of those builds, personally, I lean towards the bikes that are super shiny, a lot of flake in them, tall, narrow bikes, long bikes, lots of chrome, like show bikes. But we like show bikes that you can ride, and some 60s and 70s show bikes are amazing, but you got to be able to ride it too, So like Ted said, sometimes they look really uncomfortable, and he's kind of joking. They look uncomfortable, but they're really not. And that's kind of what I dig. And right now we're both really into that late 60s club style bike. So I'm building one as well, very similar to the one that Ted's working on now too. And they're 60s club style, but with our own sort of flair to it and our own kind of feel to it, and more of a modern feel. And they're going to be not necessarily performance motorcycles, but reliable old bikes, if you will.
Are you doing those more for show, or are you doing those for riding enjoyment?
So Ted's bike's initially going to start out for his show bike, but he's going to ride it and let it get dirty and get all beat up, which is cool. It's kind of like a cool look, But the other thing is you don't have to worry about it. My bike, I'm going to try to keep it clean and keep it an actual show bike that I can ride into shows. If it gets dirty, whatever, I'll just clean it. If it gets scratched, I'll fix the paint. One of those kind of things. So both styles of bike are.
Is that what this is?
So. Sort of, yeah.
Kind of, sort of. I was looking for an example.
Yeah, there's a few in there.
Clubs, the '60s club style. Is that what?
Yeah. There's a couple in there that are pretty cool. Not anything close to what we're building, but definitely. I think Ted would love that one.
A Dyna. There you go.
It's like an Evel Knievel motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
Stunt bike right there. It's probably really fast too.
I like that.
Yeah, man.
So what's the difference between a chopper?
See that guy sitting, that black and white, the guy sitting on the bike?
Right here?
Nope.
Right here.
Somewhere. You got to scroll. It's either up or down.
Oh.
Nope. That right there. Oh. Hang on. Keep going. Keep going the other way, I guess.
Okay. Right
here. There, right there. That guy right there. Yeah, that right there is pretty similar to what we're both building right now.
What you're wanting to build?
That's the closest version of what we're building on this page. So yeah.
Gotcha. So when you're looking at tools and time, I mean, it's like anything. It's like you get into gun building and you're like, oh man, this tool would really make this a lot easier to build, or if I had this, if I had that. This is one of those, as you get more into it, you get more financially involved with it as well, right?
Yeah, you have to get a job for sure. If you want to build it right. They're not cheap.
Yeah, it's expensive really fast. That's for sure.
And when you guys are building these, you're not doing them for resale. You're doing them you're building them.
No, you're just building to keep them for the rest of your life, man, and hopefully pass it on to somebody else that's going to enjoy it just as much as you did.
How many of
that's
you
what's
built
cool about it too, because
no, go ahead. What? No, go ahead.
Once you put all this time and love and energy into a bike and you make it perfect, the way that you envision it, and then a lot of other people might end up liking it too, or if not, I mean, who cares? But later on down the road, it's kind of cool because it does become a classic. You find these old survivor bikes from the 60s and 70s that were super cool back then, but 20, 30 years down the road, they get put in a barn. And then you have the younger guys that come through and they find these bikes and their minds are blown. They're like, wow, it's really cool. Like they were doing this back then. They'll take the bike out, get it running and ride it around without changing a thing on that bike, kind of just to pay their respects to the original builder because it's so cool and they enjoy it. But it's all timeless, and that's another cool kind of thing about building,
It is. It's
so somebody finds one of my bikes I built in the barn one day, and they bring it out. And I'm like, man, that's a badass bike. I'm just gonna ride it like it is, man. It's pretty cool to build bikes. Like,
it's definitely it's an art form that pretty much anybody that's into art or old bikes or anything that's vintage can appreciate. So you don't want to if you find one of those barn bikes and you get it going, you don't want to do anything to it. You kind of want to leave it as original as possible, while still getting it mechanically sound, because somebody put their heart and soul into making that art form, back in the day, and you just want to respect that. So it's pretty cool that people are doing that.
It's kind of like we were talking one of our AK corners a while back. They find one of those, those old Russian with the art in it, that they've carved in, or they put it don't mess with that, leave it alone. You want to.
Yep, same thing.
I gotta hop off here, guys.
Ted, it was great meeting you. If you would give your company another plug, your shirt company and Leadheads, go check them out. Go to their social medias and let them know you heard him here on the Talking Lead podcast.
Oh yeah, that's find us at SwanCityPrintCompany.com or just Swan City Print Company at Facebook and Instagram. Check us out, give us a like, chat with us.
Ted, we appreciate it. And Leadheads, go check them out. Swan Screen Printing, right?
Swan City Print Company.
Swan City Print Company. Got it.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll talk to you soon, Ted. Thanks.
All right, cool. I appreciate it, buddy. I'll see you.
All right.
Ted, I should mention, is also a retired and injured combat vet. He doesn't really like to talk about it too much, but he served in the U.S. Army, 11 Bravo, and got knocked out. Got some bad injuries or whatever. So, yeah, he's kind of a hero to me too. Don't tell him I said that though.
Okay, I'm going to leave that in. That's staying in the show. That part's staying in. So we thank Ted for his service, and all the more reason for you Leadheads to go and check out the Swan City Screen Printing.
Yes. Swan City Print Company.
I'll get it right in a minute. Swan City Print Company.
It's veteran owned and operated.
So Chad, I think we got a little too much into politics because I wanted to talk more motorcycles, and I know you're running out of time. So we'll continue this motorcycle discussion in another episode. If you Leadheads have questions and things you want to know about, talkinglead@gmail.com, and maybe we'll get some of your other cycling enthusiasts on and pick their heads about certain things too. It's one of those things where I used to be into the motorcycle thing and I got out of it, and I just don't know that much about it anymore. But it's one of those things that I want to learn more about. And when I want to learn more about something, I do more shows on it. So Leadheads, get ready for maybe some more motorcycle talk.
Yeah, it's cool. And like we talked about, it kind of goes hand in hand with the freedom. Like when you get on your bike, you just feel, you hear the noise of your motorcycle, you hear the wind, and you got the wind in your face. And we call it getting your knees in the breeze. But yeah, you get out there and man, it's super therapeutic. And I feel like, all those Leadheads out there can appreciate something like that because it really kind of is it's a tangible freedom.
Yeah.
It's something you can actually go do and feel like you're sort of free out there on the road.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners own motorcycles, are motorcycle enthusiasts. If you are, reach out to me, talkinglead@gmail.com. If there's certain topics or issues about motorcycles that you want us to talk about on here, be happy to do that. We'll get Chad back on, and we'll do another show on the freedom of the motorcycle, baby.
Yeah.
Dig it. So, Chad, we didn't talk much about Kel-Tec today, but we want to do that. We want to set up another show again, like I said, with the NRA being canceled. We were slated to talk about all the latest and greatest that you guys have going on. Talk about your 30-year anniversary and celebration that you guys are doing with Kel-Tec, and maybe that's something that, like I said, we could look at maybe bringing the lead quarters to Cocoa Beach and doing a great episode.
Be, man. Yeah. Take the tour and show people around.
Yeah, we definitely could do that, do some live stuff and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But Leadheads, if you've got questions for Chad, whether it's motorcycles, it's guns, relationship advice, or maybe giving him some, maybe that's...
I learned my lesson the hard way, and so if anybody else wants to know how to avoid that, then let me know.
That's the best way to learn, man. That's how we all learn. I've been there, done that. But it's very, like I said, it's very magnanimous of you to come on and recognize the errors of your way and correct it, hopefully.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But
Absolutely.
I don't deserve it.
You do. And is Matt still there?
Matt is still here. Yep.
Okay. I didn't know if he was still in the room or not. But again, go and support those that make the show possible, Leadheads. It's KeltechWeapons.com. They're at Keltech Weapons. Boom, boom. And then Chad, you guys can follow Chad on the grams, and he's changed it. It's, spell that, Garco?
Yeah, GNARCOCHAD.
And you didn't, Narco, you didn't say what this company was that you started. You want to give it a plug?
Yeah, so we can talk about that a little more in depth next time too. But Ted and I just came up with this apparel company concept, and that's where actually Swan City Print Co. came from. He started getting into the printing side and realized it was a very lucrative business. So we kind of sort of backburnered the Gnarly Company, but that's our clothing brand. It's the Gnarly Company, or Narco for short. So yeah, we'll talk about that next time, and I'll give you all the details on that. But it's a pretty unique brand, and we intend to cater to all walks of life, but mostly people that are adventure people, whether it be hiking, skydiving, skiing, snow skiing, snowboarding, BMX, motocross, choppers, you name it. So gun, shooting, competitive shooters, like whatever. It's the slogan is die gnarly. So in other words, like, you got this, you only have one life here on this planet, live it with your all, go out there and die gnarly,
Born to be wild.
Be the best you can be and enjoy this life as much as you can, especially if you're doing outdoor activities and stuff. So
absolutely.
Yep.
Our other sponsors, Mission First Tactical. I was talking about them earlier, and I had my screen share on so you couldn't see it. The dump trays that they make they make these from the leftover materials from their holsters, the Kydex or Boltaron, and these are really good. And I think you had some of your motorcycle parts. Don't you have one of these, Chad? Where you had some of your motorcycle parts and stuff on?
I actually do. I use that to when I'm working on stuff. I drop my nuts and bolts and stuff there. I don't want to lose and rolling all over the garage floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect for you mechanics, you smiths that are out there to put those parts. It's perfectly great cleanup, easy cleanup. You got that greasy stuff on there, but works perfect. But then also for your nightstand dump tray, your EDCs, you're dumping your pockets at night so you don't scratch up the furniture, so your wife don't jump down your throat. Perfect for that too. Their magazines, great AR magazines. They do have AR-10 magazines now, and you can get custom logos put on those. We've got the Leadhead Brigade, some of those that we've done. Probably going to get some done with collaboration with Keltech and Talking Lead. They've got window magazines. Very cool, very reliable, sturdy, solid magazines. I've not had any issues with these. I've been using them for over a year now. And then they've got some Terran Tactical extensions that are being made for these as well. So you can go to Terran Tactical. I think Mission First might even sell them on their website where you can get an extension on there. So for you competition shooters or you just want to carry a couple of extra rounds, missionfirsttactical.com. Use the code LEADHEAD and you're going to get 20% off anything you purchase from there. They've got cool shirts and swag there as well. They've got pepper spray, CS, so all kinds of different things that they've got available there at Mission First Tactical. Go and show them how much you appreciate them being a part of the show and sponsoring it. Seal 1, again, you're going to clean your firearms. You're going to clean pretty much anything. This is good for it. Very good for protecting against corrosion. So like Chad's living down there in Cocoa Beach. They got a lot of salt water, a lot of corrosion stuff going on down there. Seal 1 will protect that. Seal 1 and done. You put this product on your gun one time, and it's going to protect it for a really, really, really long time.
Nice.
And then, of course, for our apparel, 1776 United, you can go get the classic Talking Lead logos, our Leadhead Brigade T-shirts and patches at 1776 United, and you use the code Talking Lead. You're going to get 20% off any of your purchases at 1776 United. And then for our AK Corner enthusiasts, and you want to get our specific AK Corner logo apparel, go to Factory 47, and that's Factory with a K, factory47.com. Use the code LEADHEAD. You get 10% off any of your purchases at Factory 47. For you AK enthusiasts, you definitely want to check that out. And then next month's AK Corner, I think we're talking about the AK-74 is what we're going to talk about. It's either that or we're going to talk about the Valmet. Don't know which one of those yet, but that's coming up the 15th of next month. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have some awesome guests and give some stuff away as we normally do.
Very cool.
And don't forget Nemo Arms. Nemo Arms, use the code TL10. You get 10% off anything at Nemo Arms. They have heirloom quality shotguns there. They've got like the Italian engraving and stuff on their shotguns that are awesome. They are the first company, I do believe, that came out with a 300 Win Mag in the AR platform, Chad.
What?
Nemo Arms. They make high-quality rifles, pistols, shotguns, and they're even into cans. They're making the cans now, so go check them out. Nemo Arms, TL10, get 10% off. Anything, even the firearms, you get 10% off at Nemo Arms. So there you go. That's it. That does it for another episode of the Talking Lead Podcast, Leadheads. This isn't Labor Day weekend, is it? That's next weekend, isn't it?
Next weekend.
Next weekend. Okay. But, still go out, enjoy your freedoms this weekend. Do the lake, get on a boat, get on a motorcycle, take your Jeep out, and practice your Second Amendment rights as well. Carry your firearms. Check your local laws on the proper way to do that. But, man, it just shouldn't be a thing you even have to consider anymore. The harder we work and push our lawmakers, then the sooner we can make that happen.
Yep.
Any parting words for the Leadheads, Chad?
I just want to thank all you Leadheads for supporting the show, and those of you that have supported Kel-Tec over the years. As you know, we consider our customers extended family, so just want to thank all you Leadheads that have supported us for such a long time. We appreciate you very much.
And it shows in their customer service. They have a customer service department second to none. And I can personally attest to that. So check them out, keltecweapons.com. Chad, thank you again for taking time to be on.
Of course, thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, and we're going to have you back on soon because we're going to talk about all the latest and greatest with Kel-Tec, what you guys got going on.
Yes, sir.
So stay tuned for that, Leadheads. And until then, as always, keep your loved ones close.
Your firearms closer, yo.
Yo.
Just a trail.